Today, I have a great show because I have a great guest to go through what's going on in the upcoming election. Bill O'Reilly, thank you so much for joining me today.
Stephen, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
So I value your insight. You've been doing journalism, newscasting for a very long time. You have authored more bestsellers than I can even count. I know that you watched this. Kamala Harris's first interview, MSNBC with Stephanie Ruhle. She announces that she is going to raise taxes on America, making us less competitive with the rest of the world if passed. It's also going to make life more expensive. She then states that Donald Trump left her and Joe Biden with the worst economy since the Great Depression. Is any of this true?
Well, the Hoover reference, somewhere Ol Herbert is going, thank you. Of course, not true. But truth doesn't really matter anymore in politics, unfortunately. So that's why I wrote Confronting the Presidents, which is number one on the New York Times list. That's the 19th time that happened, by the way. I'm sure they're thrilled over there. It brings them joy to have me at the top of the list. But what the Democratic Party does, and also the Republican Party, but not quite to that extent, is it just makes stuff up because it knows that in the corporate media world, not the social media, people like you and others will say, come on, that's not true. But in the corporate media world, they're not going to call them out. So 25 years ago, if you were to say something like, okay, Trump handed us the worst economy since the Great Depression, you would have just been across the board whacked by everybody, even the people who favor the Democratic Party. That's gone. It's never coming back, unfortunately, for the American people. So I don't even think it matters much anymore. People know what they were paying 4 years ago when they go into the grocery store. They kind of remember, I do, and they know what they're paying now. Same thing for gas. Insurance is crazy. So she can say whatever she wants, probably has minimal impact.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people maybe hear that and they go, oh, wow, I wonder if that's true. But then they see their grocery bill. They see how expensive rent has become. Like you said, insurance, sometimes 50, 60, 70% increase on your insurance costs. I don't know how a lot of people are even affording to live. And yet she spews these kind of lies and then threatens to make, corporations pay more taxes, which of course they're just going to pass that on to the consumer.
Of course. But there are a lot of people who are disengaged from reality in America. And, what you and I do now, because I'm an independent news guy, this is where millions and millions of voters live. Here, always in their hand, always on their mind. They're not seeking out the truth. So when you say, yeah, they're going to raise the corporate income tax, well, they don't even, many people, they don't even associate that with they'll have to pay more, because that would require them to think about economics, which they never do. And, you can get elected by saying that kind of stuff. We'll get the greedy guys. They're not paying their fair share. You know what's amusing? I've been doing this a long time. I have never heard a Democrat politician define what my fair share is. And I've done a lot of interviews with them. What's my fair share? All right, I'm making a lot of money. What do you want? You want 50% of all? What do you want? 70, 90? They never say, because it's unlimited. I wrote a message today on BillO'Reilly.com where that's where we live. I basically said, look, if Bernie Sanders runs the White House, and remember, him and Kamala are very tight, maybe they'll let me keep my bathrobe, Stephen. They'll get as much as they can get, because that's the game. Have the government run the economy.
Yeah. Well, I liked how her rebuttal to Stephanie Ruhle was, I've even talked to Bill Gates, and he said if he was in charge, he would tax himself more, which is a total lie, because he donated, billions of dollars to his own foundation so that he could keep that money, avoid taxes, and control how to spend it. So, she brings up one of the richest people in the world who can easily say, yeah, I would be for more taxes because he knows for a fact they're not going to raise taxes on him.
It's even worse than that. So if Bill Gates were a patriot, he would donate, I don't know, $10 billion a year to the Social Security Medicare fund. You can do that. You can give the government money. Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. That's actually a really great point. Couple of facts that I got from watching your show, actually. 7% wage growth under Donald Trump, minus 3% wage growth under Harris and Biden. Inflation was 1.4% under Donald Trump, over 9% under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, with essential goods being over 20%. Well, doesn't most of middle-class America buy the essential goods, which means most of their inflation is double digits?
They should. They should understand that. Real wages, which is what take-home pay, that's real wages, up more than 7% in the 4 years that Trump was in office. And that includes the COVID horror. So the reason was that the Trump administration does not believe in government regulating the private marketplace. So it stripped away a lot of regulations that brought corporations' profits down. And the corporations and the companies made more money. When you make more money, you can hire more people at higher wages. And it was a competition for that. So a good worker, they could go across the street, and so they had to match. So wages for everybody, every ethnic group, grows more than 7%. When Biden came in, he slapped the regulations, particularly on the fossil fuel industry, the energy companies, all right? And he made it very difficult and expensive for major corporations to operate. So they began to contract. So they started cut here, cut there, and real wages went down to 3% without any COVID. So that's a 10% swing on take-home pay. Now, if Donald Trump would do a chart and stand out there and say, look, instead of hurling names at his competitors, I think he'd be better off, because that's not hard for people to understand.
Yeah. You've got your book, Confronting the Presidents. I recently saw the Reagan movie, and I had somebody from I think it was Stephen Moore from the Trump administration. He said, Donald Trump is not great at explaining what Donald Trump will do. So he said, for example, Ronald Reagan would say, here are the 7 ways I will make your life better. Donald Trump, they're just kind of mixed in this 90-minute speech that he gives, where Ronald Reagan was very, very clear on what he would do. Would you agree with that Trump could maybe just be more concise on, these are the exact things that I will do to make your life better?
I would agree, but I put a footnote on it, an asterisk on it, because he got to the presidency by being a bomb thrower / entertainer. That's how Trump got there. He didn't get there on policy because he never ran for anything before. So in 2016, when he went in, and I did the first interview with him after he declared, he wiped out the Republican field by being Don Rickles. I don't know whether you remember him, yes. The insult comic. And he just, across the board, slashed and burned the political establishment, and it worked great for him. And he became president. And when he ran against Hillary, it was crooked Hillary. It was He has had a hard time getting out of that mode. But it's a different country now. It's a different time now. He's got a 4-year record to run on. Ronald Reagan was basically a front man for California for 8 years, and then 8 years in the White House. By that, I mean, very charismatic guy, knew how to handle himself in front of the camera. And he had very astute advisors, very astute, smartest guys. And they would prep him and say, look, this is how we're going to present this. And Reagan did it flawlessly. Trump does not have that discipline. All right, he's more all over the place. He doesn't, he's not a policy-driven guy. He's a deal maker. So it's a different mindset. But I told Trump in a conversation, because as you know, I've known him for more than 30 years, said, you should watch some of the Reagan tapes. I wrote a book, Killing Reagan. There was a movie based on that book, and it was a good one. And it wasn't, see, the Reagan movie now is more of a glorification of the president. Mine wasn't. Mine was much more, this is who he is. And when we write about him in Confronting the Presidents, he comes out as a good president, because he was. He was a good president. But it's a little bit nuanced, my look at him. If you just want to break it down, Donald Trump is a libertarian capitalist. What that means is pretty much anything goes in, pretty much make money. We want you to make money because you'll spread it around and working people will benefit. That's who he is. Reagan was more of a methodical guy who had a vision of what the country should be. And that's how he executed his policy. It's a little bit different there.
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you mean when you say Donald Trump was a bombastic Don Rickles type. I remember in one of the debates, he gets booed and he says, "Oh, that must be Jeb Bush's corporate donors." He was just real quick on his feet. Tell me more about your book, Confronting the Presidents. I've been going through it. I have learned so many incredible things. Tell my audience about it.
Well, we wrote this book as a primer for the vote. The vote is coming up fast in November. And my belief is the more Americans know about the presidents themselves, all 45, we go from Washington to Biden, every one of them, tell you who they are, what they did well, what they didn't do well. I don't rank them. You rank them after reading it. And I wanted people to know that we've had, terrible presidents, dishonest, corrupt people, but brilliant presidents as well. So they have a frame of reference when they vote. Kamala Harris is the most progressive leftist presidential candidate ever to run. And it's not even close. Barack Obama would be second. But Obama contained himself, not Harris. If Harris gets elected and Democrats control both houses of Congress, this country evaporates. Utah, where you are, changes dramatically. And I don't think most Utahns want it to change dramatically. But that's what will happen as a central government starts to run everybody's life, tell you what you can have, what you can't have, how much you can take home, how much you pay for that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, that's what the central government, the progressive movement wants. And I don't know if people understand that. So that's why I wrote the book. It's a fun read. You'll get all kinds of stuff you had no idea about. And, it's off to a tremendous start, as I mentioned.
Yeah, no, it's already become a bestseller. I started right with Ulysses S. Grant because my dad's name was Grant. So I had been learning about him. It's been very fascinating. Let me stick with the Kamala Harris being the most progressive person. Just today, according to Harry Enten on CNN, Kamala Harris is the worst polling Democrat among union workers and working class Americans in generations, he said. As we get closer to the election, will Americans dislike her more as they understand who she is? Ladies and gentlemen, there is a war happening right now, and it's probably not where you think. It's in your gut. A battle between good and bad bacteria can determine your health. Kimchi 1 from Brightcore Nutrition is the fermented superfood your body needs to arm the good guys with the right weapons to defeat the bad actors once and for all. And I can tell you from my personal experience about how kimchi helped rebuild my gut after COVID. It contains over 900 strains of beneficial bacteria in each capsule. Kimchi 1 supports healthy digestion, fortifies your immune system, and helps detoxify your body. Kimchi has also been shown to reduce risk of obesity and promote smaller waistlines by curbing appetite and naturally boosting metabolism. Today, you can get an exclusive offer just for my viewers. Buy 2 bottles of Kimchi 1 and get 1 bottle absolutely free by clicking the link below, or call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call right now at 888-908-4425. I interviewed the founder of Brightcore, Kim Bright, and she gave us some fantastic information. I urge you to watch the interview. I'm going to link it down below. All right, let's get back to this incredible interview.
I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to understand who she is, because she's not going to do any meaningful interviews, with the exception of 60 Minutes. She almost has to do that. As I said to my audience on the No Spin News, which you can get on BillO'Reilly.com, that's going to be a defining moment. I don't think Trump's going to debate her again, but he might if his numbers go down. If what the CNN reporter told you today is true, Trump will win. Because that is very unusual for union workers to reject a Democratic candidate. But Kamala Harris's strength is with women. And women are still pretty solid for her. Everybody else is looking askance. Women are digging in. And that's why Donald Trump should lessen the insults and try to go where those women are about, look, you want to have money to raise your children and send them to school, to get them nice things at Christmas. Well, I'm the guy. You vote for her, she's going to tell you what you can have for Christmas. You really want that? That's how you go. But right now, if CNN's reportage is true, Trump wins.
Okay, yeah. When I read that, I thought, oh, that's really interesting, because the Democrat Party, I've always been told, is the party of kindness and the party of the worker. And if the worker is suddenly saying, wait a minute, I don't think I resonate with the person running in my party, do they switch and end up voting with the person that they believe is going to do the most for the working class?
It doesn't matter. If they stay home, that helps Trump. So okay. Trump's base is he got 74 million votes, Trump, last time around. Enormous, more than any other Republican candidate's ever gotten. I put Trump's baseline, MAGA people, at 65 million. Then he has to convince 10 million more to vote for him. I don't think Harris is going to get the 81 that Biden got. So the more people who don't like Trump, they say, look, I don't like him, I'm not voting for him, but I'm not voting for her either. That helps Trump. Okay,
interesting. Yeah, the stay-at-home people. Okay, final question here. Kamala Harris, under her leadership with Joe Biden, the national debt has gone up over $7 trillion, yet one of her key talking points is she's going to give Americans $25,000 to buy a house and $50,000 to start a new business. Where on earth does this money come from? And does this not just put fuel on the inflation fire?
Of course. Comes from the Treasury Department's printing presses. That's where it comes from. They flood the zone with that kind of, it'll never happen. In a million years will it happen. I mean, even a Democrat Congress, I don't think is going to vote for that. That kind of an appropriation, $25,000 free money for everybody, first-time home buyers. Come on. I mean, you're talking $3-4 trillion first year. Can't. Unsustainable. Everything would collapse. So again, the mainstream media knows that. They won't report it. The folks, do they know it? No. Most of them don't. I know it. And that's why I can't, I'm fair in my analyzing the presidential race, but I made it quite clear to my viewership, I can't vote for Kamala Harris. I think she's irresponsible. As bad as you might think Trump is, he ran the country pretty responsible for 4 years. All right, so whatever he says, whatever nutty thing he says on Thursday, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, if it's her and him, I got to go with what I know, not what could happen. But no, she's not going to be able to do the crazy things she promises.
Yeah. I had RFK Jr. on my show last week, and he said, if they pass that, every American needing money will start a new business so they can get $50,000 from the government.
I'll start O'Reilly's lemonade stand. I'll have a few of the urchins in the neighborhood selling lemonade. You got to kick me $50K.
Yeah, you would be opening LLCs all day long. You know,
That's right.
Okay, final. I had one more question, Bill. I appreciate you coming on. You know, they always say it's the economy, stupid. The economy, the economy, the economy. Many people believe that they were better off financially under Trump. My question is, are things bad enough at the border that the border and the illegal immigration situation also is a major voting block for this upcoming election?
Yeah, that 1-2 punch of higher prices and crazy border policies, and it is crazy. It's never been done in this country in modern times. It should be enough. But people hate Trump so much because of his demeanor that's just get a little friendlier the next 5 weeks and you'll win.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Well, I know how busy you are. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to put a direct link to Confronting the Presidents. It's great. Go check it out. Bill O'Reilly, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Stephen.